you for choosing Grand Skills as your #1 online free professional course creator. For your notice, I want you to know that the instructor of this course has put in so much effort, time and money just to create this content for you to learn all for free. So please do well to click on the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so you will be the first to get our video tutorials we'll be posting at all time. Also give it a thumbs up and drop a comment to help us improve more. Thank you.
Welcome to the class. Today I will be taking you on Lens Aparture. Some people have aperture in their camera, they really don't know the part of the camera it controls. So many of us think that the aperture controls our camera. But in this class, we are going to understand that the aperture doesn't really control the camera, rather it controls the lens of the camera. So without taking much of your time, we just have to dive into it so that we can learn it bit by bit. First of all, you see what I wrote here, Lens Aparture. This is our topic for today. Lens Aparture. In your camera, in our previous class, we were able to explain the ISO, and right now, we are going to explain the Lens Aparture, which it is manipulated with the ISO to have a good image. In this class, we are going to study the light distance, the distance in which your aperture can cover, which is the distance of the lens. In our cameras, we have different lenses. We have different sizes of lens, and the lens of your camera determines the distance your image could capture to have a very quality picture. So in this class, I'm going to be taking you on the functions of lens aperture. Like I earlier explained, your aperture in your camera controls the lens of the camera. It has to do with the amount of light coming to the camera and the amount of the quality of image you take. Now, if you look at your aperture, you are going to see numbers like this. There are a series of numbers in this format. You have 1 point something, 2 point something, 4 point something. So this lenses determines how far and how clear your image will look like. Because while taking an object, you must try to observe something. The quality of the image of the subject and the sharpness of the background. You have to differentiate the two. Sometimes you take an object or you snap at a picture, you find out that the background is not very clear, it looks dense or it looks blurred. And while the image becomes very sharp, it depends on the settings of your aperture, of your lens aperture. It depends on that. Because you have to differentiate while taking a single object or a portrait image from a group image. So how do you differentiate them? The only way you can differentiate them is by changing the settings of your camera, the settings of your aperture. If you use the same setting to take a portrait picture on a group picture, you are going to have a very wrong image at the end of the day. But some part of the image will be very clear, while some other part will look blurred because the setting didn't go well. So this is what we want to learn today. Just like I told you in our previous class on the function of ISO, that is the same thing. They are similar, but in different ways. You have to match the two. You have to know this as much as you have known the other, so that you can learn to connect the both of them together to have a quality image. So in this class, let's assume that we are taking a portrait photograph. Let's assume we are taking a portrait photograph. If you are taking a portrait photograph and you have this number of settings in your aperture, in your lens aperture, you will find out that as much as the object is clear, everything that has to do with background of that image will equally be as sharp as nothing. they will be so sharp and so clear, just like the image. And you cannot actually differentiate the background from the image because it's either it's too bright or it's too exposed. But while bringing it down, you are going to observe something while bringing it down. I'm talking about taking a portrait, a single subject of an image. When bringing down the settings, you will see that the density, the blur, the background will be looking blurred while the image is looking sharp, which means you can separate the image from the background and it makes your picture more beautiful. So it is more advisable sometimes when you have an ISO that receives a light of about 200 and you are setting your lens aperture on 5.6, then and you are taking a single object like portrait, you are going to have a sharp image with a blur background. It is so in the sense that you have taken the ISO to 200 where you can control the amount of light that comes into the camera, while you have equally bring down the lens aperture to 5.6 where you can control the depthness of the image, I mean the sharpness, the clearness of the image. At the end of the day, if you have a good light, you might have something like this, which will not be bad for your image. But while going down, when you reduce the speed, let's say the light is the same, you have the same light coming into the camera, and you have to reduce the speed in order to have more blur on the background. You can reduce to 4.0, or maybe 4.6 or 4.6. So the more you go down, the more you have a blurrer background and a sharper image. And the more you go up, the more you have a clearer image and a clearer background. This is just the simple techniques of your lens aperture. It works simultaneously with the ISO. So while setting your ISO, you should know very well that your lens aperture has to be set so that it can be accurate to give you a good quality image. This is one thing you need to understand. The aperture controls the lens like I explained. It gives your lens the best of objects or the best of image. Depends on the amount of light that comes into the ISO. So in this class, what you have to understand is the functions of these apertures, which are these numbers that are there. They are numerous, depends on the kind of camera you use. We have Canon, we have Nikon, we have different products of camera. So the numbers are written in different ways, but they are all related. So it depends on how you understand your camera. That's why in our previous class, I taught you on understanding your camera so that you know how it functions. Depends on how you understand your camera. But in this case, we just learned about the function of ISO. You can equally bring down your ISO to 100, while your lens aperture can be on the, let's say, 102 or 125. You can set it like this. Depends if you want to take a good picture. You can even go to this extent of taking your ISO to 11. Depends on the kind of picture object you are taking. But if you are taking a group object, let me advise you, in taking a group object, don't think of going down below 5.6. Don't think of going down below 5.6 in taking a group object. Sorry? 5.6. Don't go down below 5.6 while taking a group object, because if you go down below that, you will have a blurred image. So it's advisable while taking a group picture or a distance image, go from 5.6, 11, 16, or 22. So it is good to accelerate while taking a distance image or a group image. But when taking a portrait picture, you can come down to 4.0, 2.8, or 2.0 to have something good. So from here on, You can have a blurrer background and a sharper image, especially while taking a portrait picture. While from the 5.6 upward, you can have a good sharp image with a clearer background while taking a group picture or a distant shot. Remember I told you your lens aperture depends on the distance of which your lens can go and the quality you can produce at the same time. Thank you very much. I hope that helped you in this class. See you in our next class.
Thank you for choosing Grand Skills as your number one online free professional course creator. For your notice, I want you to know that the instructor of this course has put in so much effort, time, and money just to create this content for you to learn all for free. So please do well to click on the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so you will be the first to get our video tutorials we'll be posting at all time. Also give it a thumbs up and drop a comment to help us improve more. Thank you.